Okay, we are here at Picnic 2011 in Amsterdam. We are the data cooks, and we are here to make data visualizations popular. We want that everyone can make their own data visualizations like they make food nowadays. So interesting guests will join and cook something out of the data we have. We all are somehow active in the open data scene in Europe.
Yeah.
But every city is really different, and it's hard to find your peers. And when you go to a city, you don't know what the dynamics is there, who is kind of leading this whole thing. So we thought that this would be a very interesting subject. You're from Manchester Digital Development Agency.
That's
Could you
right.
kind of give a background if you use Manchester as a case?
Yeah.
What would we need to know about Manchester?
Well, Manchester in the 1980s was facing a kind of economic disaster on a scale of big American cities. Millions of jobs lost in the 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the 80s, the city tried to start recreating itself for a post-industrial future. Mm-hmm. So a lot of investment in creative and then the digital sector, which has been very successful, the largest number of creative and digital businesses outside of London, anywhere in the UK, trying to get new infrastructure, new broadband infrastructure in, wireless projects, and finally, open data. People coming together and saying maybe the city and its institutions should open up their data sources, not just try and put everything online itself, but just open up the data so that ordinary citizens and activists can really begin to manipulate and visualize that data.
When did that start? And if we put that on paper, what do you think?
Okay, well, it started really in two quite different ways. One was with a bunch of artistic creatives who were wanting to find different ways to talk about the future of the city. So they originally came out of the music business. Music business is really big in Manchester, obviously Manchester bands, Hacienda Club and so on. And they had a festival called Future Sonic, which started off looking at sound art. And then they decided to change the name to be Future Everything, to really look at the future of the city, creativity, how that would work. And one of the things they found is that quite a few of the people involved in that were developers or freelance digital creatives, and this emerged as a natural issue from that creative community, saying we'd really like to engage with the public institutions in the city. But how do we do that? Now, this was at the same time that there were some very sympathetic civil servants who, from a different point of view, a service delivery point of view, as professionals, they really wanted to release data and get support from outside, from creative people and developers, because they understood the principle of open data, but they didn't really understand perhaps the practice or how it could be done.
Certainly Britain is one of the leading countries in opening up data and putting it up. Certainly.
But I think what the problem was that was seen as a very national top-down initiative, so we all supported it. We thought, that's great, some leadership from national level, but at a local level where most data is, most data is in the municipalities, in local health care, in local law enforcement, that's where the real data is, and it was very difficult to open that up. So what we have, as I say, is now a dynamic between a sort of creative NGO and the creative community who want to do this, and some very sympathetic civil servants who want to help make it happen. And we've launched a Greater Manchester Open Data website called OpenGM, but that we still have an awful lot of problems. And the biggest problem, which I was discussing with some colleagues of yours before, is, for example, the Transport Organisation, which is a public body, has decided that bus fare information maybe is private, confidential, commercial, because all the buses are private in Britain. So they're regulated, but it's a private company. And we think this is crazy. Everyone should know what the bus fares are.
Yeah.
Well, certainly, like he just mentioned, we've got several different partners who kind of are working with it. There's very local things like one single public transport company, and it goes up from there to up to the city level, and from the city level to the district level, or kind of larger city areas, and also to the country itself. And I think organic growth and organic kind of movements are very important to binding these together and to finding where actually the data is, because in many cases it's very hard even to know who owns the data in even simple places like bus fares and bus fare traffic information, because there's the traffic planning department and there's the bus company, and they share some data but not everything, and somebody owns part of the data and somebody owns another part of the data, and getting the policies to combine is very difficult. Do you have any vision on how kind of this should be done, or do you know any?
Well, I think the metro area collaboration network, so Open GM network, is a really good start, because it is seen as being kind of an official endorsement of the principle of open data.
Yeah.
So I think civil servants feel much happier if they feel that it's not just a campaign, it's something that is officially supported and endorsed. So having that's important, but we have another problem, which is a bit like Greater Helsinki. Greater Manchester is 10 completely separate municipalities.
Yeah.
So the historic city of Manchester clearly is the biggest, and it's at the core of the metro area. Manchester has just under 500,000 population, but in the metro area it's more than 2.5 million. So that's
Exactly.
10 municipalities, 20 plus health bodies, police and law enforcement, universities, different educational bodies. That's a very difficult problem to get everyone together. But the 10 municipalities are working together, so we've made a start. But what this problem with the transport has revealed is, even when you've started, there's still a lot of problems that you have to be prepared to deal with.
Is there a list somewhere of kind of open projects and what's going on at the moment?
Through Future Everything, through Data GM, and through the Mad Lab websites. I mean, really, those are the three most important access points, really.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really nice exercise. Kind of, I would say that we are kind of trying to make a travel guide for open data people.
Great.
How would that look like? Compact form, city by city. What is the key information you should extract?
Yeah.
So we're going to process this into something and then discuss later on with you.
Yeah, we'll come back tomorrow and have a look. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Great.
Thanks.
Put it together.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
The concept that you've discussed would sort of like be a lonely planet for open data.
Yep.
This overall framework resembles a wiki in some certain respects. That it's sort of like this collection that's open to everyone that you can edit, and the basic units are all these region pages. It doesn't have to be a country or a city or something. We discussed that Manchester could have its own page, represent the greater Manchester area. Probably Iceland would be a page of its own, since having just a separate Reykjavik page would make too much sense. And it would be something like a wiki page from its organization. That we have these main sections. We have the community features, the interactive bits, functional bits of the website. There's a bulletin board that's a bit like the talk page on a wiki page. I mean, the Wikipedia guideline says that the talk page is not a forum, but it often gets used as one.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I think it's sort of like this tendency for people to use it as such, sort of gives you an idea that, well, maybe they're onto something here.
Yeah.
And then there's media. That if you are a member of the press, there's a quick package of things what you need to know, and then this events section that highlights things that they're organizing there. And then if you're an open data enthusiast, the big thing that you're looking for is rating. How big is the overall scene? Is it like minuscule, or is this region a major player?
Yeah.
And then there's the local leaderboard. You got your peoples, your organizations, your companies there.
And here is the overall view of the sort of opening page when you go, in this case, to Manchester, and there is some indicators where the users have voted the city, or then it's aggregated from other votings, but anyway, some sort of overall data, featured project, links to community initiatives, government initiatives, bulletin board, and so on, and then there's the news feed and the link to data browser. And many ideas popped up when we were doing this. One was that it would be maybe interesting to have a feature to compare decision makers across regions. So let's say you're in Manchester and you would want to bring more public transport data openness there. So it might be a good idea to make the local director meet with somebody from another city who was really into this open data thing, but with the same rank sort of and same field. So then you could rate, let's say, show best rated by this. In this case, it's attitude to openness rating, and then you get them from different cities, different personas.
You know what I mean? So the listener.
If you're on your way to Manchester or Helsinki, you haven't had the time to research the city yourself earlier, but you're going to meet some open data people, and you would want to have a really quick brief presentation about what the city is like. I guess that events are really important. If there would be some kind of event going on in the city that you were not aware of, that would be really important. What do you think if you'd come to Helsinki and you would want to connect with the open data scene?
Well, exactly. I mean, it's the kind of thing where you need a local organisation that's accessible. I mean, in Helsinki, I guess Forum Virium would play something of that role. Yeah. Perhaps in Manchester, it might be a combination of us plus Mad Lab, and you would need it to tell you, do you want to get immediately to the activists, or do you want to understand a little bit about the background to it, and then that would direct you either through us or directly to Mad Lab, or if there was a big event like Future Everything, maybe that's why you're coming and you want to know what else is going on.
And you like this also?
I like this very much because I think senior people like to talk to other senior people, and just talking with colleagues in Manchester about coming to Amsterdam, they wouldn't necessarily want to come to picnic, but if they had a chance to talk to the director of transport in the city of Amsterdam, they'd find that interesting. So that idea of having like volunteer profiles doesn't have to be just simply the mayor, it could be the deputy director of planning, but who is keen and enthusiastic. So they go on there and say, oh look, immediately I can talk to the deputy director of planning for Helsinki, and send that person an email straight away.
What would you think about if someone would put you on this kind of catalogue, or would you do it yourself?
I don't know. I mean, it's just an interesting idea. I mean, I think at this stage we'd take that back home and talk to people locally about it. Here are some ideas that have come out of this first stage. What do you think? What would you like to see?
And this might be a bit crude, someone else rating your attitude to openness, or how do you feel about this?
I feel fine about it because I'm used to working in a digital world where everything search results are based on, well, partly how clever you are at SEO, but partly about what people think of your organisation. Because if they use you a lot and link to you a lot, you'll come up higher. Maybe other people wouldn't like that, but equally, it might not be the individual's attitude to openness.
Yeah.
It might be the organisation.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter what my attitude is. I work for the city, so if the city wants a 5-star openness rating, that's something I kind of work with.
Yeah. And it's maybe easier also if you would rate the kind of official position of the organization. Maybe there would be some documents or something you could reference to. It would not only be a purely subjective rating.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah. Great feedback. I think I love this thing, and I really hope that we or someone else could take this forward, because
well, hopefully it's an idea that could be linked to City SDK as a project as that goes working. So I hope so too. Be good.
Okay.
Great. Okay, thanks very much. Now, see you back in Helsinki.